Welcome to Hold My Beer and Watch This. What's up, guys? So we got the Taxi Garage 48 volt 1000 watt motor and controller upgrade. So today we're going to be doing the unboxing of this item, and we're going to be installing it and putting it on YouTube. So of course, let's dig in. So this is our box. So with our box here, Taxi Garage box, there's going to be a couple things inside the box when you get it. Now we're going to be showing that today. So I ordered this for my crazy car that's over there that you guys will see soon in the video. First that comes inside of the box will be the main. It's nicely powder coated red. It actually is. So for the price, you know, you think, oh yeah, well, I'm gonna buy one on Amazon. Don't do it. Don't. It's not worth your time. You're gonna have to fabricate everything, and it's just better off spending the money unless you're very good at it, you know. But personally, I'm not exactly the best, so I didn't do that. So this is our 48 volt 1000 watt Taxi Garage Crazy Cart XL motor. Now I think it also, no, actually it only works on the XL. So only buy this motor if you have an XL. Now the motor comes with, I'm not exactly sure what connectors these are, but it comes with those connectors, nice long cable, and I'm pretty sure this one is brushless. I'm not for sure though, but that would be part. That's the main part, of course, that you buy, you know. And then, of course, the controller comes with the Taxi Garage 48 volt controller. Now it will have, the cool part is about this controller is that everything is labeled, which is nice. So every single one is labeled, like power, motor, you know. And some of these, like this one's throttle, power lock, which power lock would be the on and off switch. So, and the cool part is, in your box that also comes with it is, so of course you get the other parts for mounting on the motor. Some of these are some heads. You get some zip ties with that. You also get, well, with mine at the time, you do get the special event paper. And then, of course, with this thing, you get your bill. So, of course, I'm not going to show my address, but, and then, of course, they send you some cool stickers. And you also get the fitting brand new Taxi Garage chain that comes with your stuff. So you get some cool stickers to put on your carts, you know. You get some drifting stickers. You can be all cool, you know. So this is what comes in the box, and now we're gonna get to installing the fun part. Now, so with your Taxi Garage thing, of course, there is the main steering column that you're going to need. Now, remember, when you do take this off, those greased bearings, which is right here, these greased bearings sit flat. So when you take them off, you want to make sure you don't lose them. But with this new motor, I've heard a lot about people upgrading those to the sealed headset bearings, which make it not have the death wobble that most people have when you go high speeds, because this thing wasn't built to go 30-something mile an hour, you know. But that's why we make it modded, so we can have fun. So, of course, with this, you have the original chain tensioner, which you'd put the chain, and then you have the original, all of this is original, by the way. None of this is modded. So this is the first mod besides painting my crazy cart that we're going to be building, and we're going to be doing a lot more cooler things on this YouTube channel, so we're just going to get there. So, of course, first thing is to do, get the motor installed. So now we have, of course, the motor, which is super nice. So we also have the steering column, so now we're going to be installing that right now. So when we start this, you will be needing these 4 bolts. So these 4 bolts are essential, and you're probably going to end up needing a wrench or some type of ratchet, depending on, or even you could probably even use a small little electric ratchet, or maybe a small impact if possible. Now that's completely up to you. Now we have 4 of these nuts, and now, of course, the taxi garage motor. So, you want to make sure your cord's out the way. So you're gonna drop this in here. Now make sure the teeth are of course facing where the chain tensioner is, because of course that is where the chain's gonna go. Don't don't mess that up, of course, because it's an obvious mistake. Now, hold on here, we might have to go through the other side. So first part is getting this bad boy in here, of course, which don't forget to run your wires. So there is a hole. You see that hole right there? That's your wire hole. Is where your wires go through. So we're gonna run those through that hole to get those out of the way, because you don't want those in the way. That's not cool. So get those out of the way. And even if you have like a little magnetic bowl like this, we can put all your bolts in there, make sure you don't lose any. Now, back to installing. We're gonna be pulling that through as we drop it down in. Now, you get that dropped in there. And you're gonna wanna just slowly get it pressed up on those, and make sure those holes of the taxi garage mount start to line up. And then you can set that down for a second and take these off. And personally, I think it's easier if you put the nut with the locker on the top so you can ratchet it, and then you can just hold the bottom with a wrench. Now, that I personally think is the easier option. just tighten these up finally. Now we're done getting this motor finally installed. We're here. So my problem was that I did not notice that I flipped this chain tensioner upside to the other side. So you got to watch out for that and make sure that your chain tensioner doesn't flip around when you have this off. So you want to make sure that you're not putting this motor and pinning that. So I had to take this off. That was a little bit of an ordeal. So next, this old chain, we don't need this old chain because we got the new one. This comes with a brand new chain. So we're gonna use that. Also, I put a blue dot here, if you could see it. You have to make sure yours is 45 to 46 teeth around this. Otherwise, yours will not work. Your stock, this stock part, will not work with the taxi garage motor and chain. So if yours is not 45 to 46 teeth, you're gonna go have to buy a new one. Otherwise, since mine is 45, we can use this. Now we have to take this off so we can put on this new chain. So we're gonna be using a 17 I think that's metric, yep. And then I don't want to use this whole huge thing, but have to. And then I got a 5/8. Once you have that, make sure you don't lose your stuff. Now, really, you don't have to take both sides off. You only have to take one. Just like that. That whole rod pops out. Now, you're going to notice that this whole thing should just pop out and come out like a piece of candy. And that will be your chain. Chain just pops right out. We don't need that no more. Now you're going to be left with this. This is our main part. So now we're going to take our old chain, or not our old chain, we're going to take our new chain. Take it right out this bag right here. Toss the bag to the side. Now, you just want to wrap that around there. And then put it just like we had it beforehand. Now, I say slide this in, and most people don't do it like this. I personally like to do it like this. So what you're gonna do is flip this around. Now, the annoying part is it's going to be getting that part right through there. Now, since we have that through there, annoying actually. It almost seems like I don't know. Just like that. Sorry I couldn't get out on video. you probably will want, what I just used was a ledge that hung off my table. That's what I just found to be the easiest way to do it. It's not exactly, that's probably one of the hardest parts of this whole installation that you're gonna hit, at least motor-wise. Now, with this, it gives you that little part, so I'm just gonna give it a couple of whacks there. And now put that washer on, put that on. That should give you just enough to get that. I'm trying to not cross thread this. And then you just start to get that part on. Oh, you do want to make sure that this part is nice and tight. Otherwise, you're probably going to have some problems in the future that you don't want to have. And stuff like that. Like that's nice, tightly put on there. Now, fun part is to getting this chain on here. Now remember, your crazy cart has to be 45 to 46 teeth for this to work. Otherwise, you will have to buy their version of, I don't know exactly what part this is or what it's called, but their version of that part. Now, chains are not exactly always the funnest things to get on. As doing this, I've just figured out that probably should have put on the chain before finishing this. So that's the step. So we're gonna have to go back to taking that part off, which I think I'm just gonna loosen this side. Which does like this. Which now I think we should just be able to take one of these sides off. Now this should probably allow you to get it on. Yeah. So you should only have to take off one side. And probably can just, it's not exactly the easiest time. But yeah, there you go. So now if you just hit it, you can get it right back on there. And then, this is my mistake. It shouldn't even have happened. But, you know, not everyone's perfect. So, we got it. We're in the bag. So, once you're done with that, I'd say the next step is actually getting the motor on the bike, or getting the whole steering column onto the crazy cart. Which we might have to do tomorrow, which would be a quick skip for you guys. But that is, I think, the next thing. Just getting that on there. I just want tighten that up, nice and snug. You know, doesn't have to be crazy tight. And then now you'll see your thing is done. Your thing is all done. So that part is all done. Now we're up to the fun part, which is putting the steering column back onto the crazy cart. Let's get to that. So now you guys should be able to see the crazy cart is right here. Now, don't mind my other projects, which I probably should move really quickly, but we'll be. So we're just gonna lay that on there, and then we're gonna take our steering column right through this hole. We're gonna take, first off, we're gonna take these top parts off that you had to take off when you took it off. If not, you gotta take those off, put it back on. So we're gonna take those off, which are kind of tedious to take a little minute, but they're a very crucial part, because if not, you ain't gonna be steering. But if you're really fast at it, you can get them off pretty quickly. Next step will be getting this underneath there. So now, we're just gonna take this right here. Now, make sure you watch out for your cable while we're doing this. Take this right here. We're just gonna drop it down there and then pull her up. Just like that. Now, once that's up, you're gonna grab your little locking thing right here. Screw that down so this thing can't fall. Now make sure you have both your bearings in there, because if you don't, she's not going to turn very well. So you have to make sure you have both of those in there. Now also, what I forgot was that this black pin right in the front has to be in that little hook part. If it's not, she won't do what it's supposed to do. Now you just want to make sure you get that tightened down. Now if you do have a big enough wrench, it's always nice to use it. So if you do have a big enough, well, everyone says, oh yeah, go buy the tool. You don't need the tool. No, all you need is some pipe pliers and a nice big old wrench. Now, it might take a minute to adjust it to the right size. Now don't tighten it too tight, because this part won't turn. If you tighten it too tight, it won't turn very freely. You just want to adjust it. You can feel it out while turning it and adjust it to your liking. Eventually you'll feel it when you turn it hard enough where it doesn't turn very well. Like right there, has a little bit of resistance. And now like see, like you can't move it. So you just wanna feel it out. Feel it out. Because that part's not going to matter if it's that tight or not. That's exactly why we have this other bolt or another big nut, which is our locker. So you put that locker on there. And that locks it down and makes sure everything's dandy. Now your nut just might hit some of those other ones, which should be all right. You could always loosen it up a little bit like I'm about to do here to make sure that it just barely glides right over those, just like that. And that little part will just make your riding experience better with steering and make it not as difficult. So with the steering wheel, of course you have your long bolt. Now, my long bolt kind of has not exactly the best. So what I'm gonna do is, it's got a little bit of rust on it from sitting outside. And so does this piece right here. So I'm just gonna give it a little spray with some kind of WD-40. And that should make it a lot easier to go in. And you know, I'm just gonna try and course it through a couple times. Just like that. And now, because I actually ended up hitting mine with a hammer trying to get in, because it, with the new motor installed at the bottom, it's kind of tilted. So your piece might tilt and get stuck down there, which you will probably have to use a rubber mallet or something to bang it out. So I ended up actually hitting the top with a hammer. And of course, when you do stuff like that, most of the time you mess up. So I just ended up finally getting it out with a hammer and then doing this. So now, when you're done with that, if you're not required to do this, if it's only if you want to. So now when you're done with that, of course, since my steering wheel is white, I'm gonna have to wipe off my hands. But I think what I'm gonna try to do here is just screw this on just enough so I can get this on here. And now, we're just gonna drop this guy in. Now that should slide right in. Now, of course, you take your ratchet. This one has the HW6 on it. And you're just gonna end up tightening this down. Which, of course, is a fun part. Start to actually get it tightened down. Make sure you get this part pretty nice and tight and snug. And there you go. Now, your steering wheel is on and all done. Just as easy as that. Now that's one of the easiest parts of this whole installation. Now, onto the controller. So, now, see this big old wire hanging out? You don't want that. So, as you can tell if you took off the previous motor, it wasn't just hanging around. So, that was going through and out right here. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna see how much slack of this wire you need to be able to turn it 360. So grab this wire, put it right here, hold on to it, and make sure you can turn it 360 both ways. And that will allow you to be able to tell how much slack you need and how much you don't. And then you're gonna need one decent sized zip tie to go around that beam to hold on to it. So figure out your slack and then put around a zip tie. And this is one of the easiest parts of building. Just make sure that thing goes straight. Make sure you can turn it to the left all the way till you can't go no more. See how it's perfectly fine? Now we're gonna go the other way. See how it's perfectly fine? So now you just wanna double check, make sure both sides are just fine. Now once you do that, should be golden. Just tighten up that zip tie. Now the next part is you're gonna need these two bolts that came to put on your controller. Now of course, you should have ran your cables through that under hole right where your seat is, where your controller and battery would sit underneath your Crazy Car XL. Now here's the controller. Now you're gonna see two holes, which were your previous controller seating. You're gonna set your controller right on top of those. And then, of course, have to have the trusty magnet so you don't lose your bolts. And you're gonna screw each of these screws on the both sides of these openings through those holes in there. So now, in your Crazy Car, I can only get down one bolt. So, I'm instead going to improvise by drilling two holes on each side and putting a zip tie throughout underneath and over top. Now you don't have to do this, but it's what I have to work with. So that's what we're gonna have to do. If you do have this problem, you can do exactly how I'm doing it. Let's go. Now we are going to take this, and you might need 2 zip ties for this. I don't know why I got 3. You might need 2. Now, I'm gonna flip this cart up like this. And we now gonna find those 2 holes. We can put one side through and one side out the other. Now with the way I did it, since the other bolt wouldn't go in, you're gonna need 2 zip ties. Now, this is just to ensure that your crazy cart thing does not pop out while riding, and you really don't want that to happen. So, this is kind of just a fail-safe. So, just in case it does, it's not going to go flying halfway across your garage or wherever you're driving. So now we have the connectors, which are right here. So these 2 parts that come into your thing just go right on and click in. Now make sure you get those all the way clicked in, otherwise your plastic will melt. And then you're gonna get that rubber piece, slide it on over top, and it goes perfect. So now that you have the thing put in, this put in. So now with your this connector, your speed connector. So this is going to be for your throttle sitting right there. This is going to be the speed connector. Now you're probably looking at it and saying, why is my speed connector this and the one that came with the crazy cart? Where'd it go? Hold on here. The one that came on the crazy cart looks like this. That doesn't look like it fit. So what actually has to happen is that if you'll see, mine doesn't have the bottom tab on this side because I cut it off. You actually have to take a pair of clippers and you're going to run it along the line of that bottom right there. You can see it along that bottom part right there. Now once you do that, your thing will slide right into the top. Slide right into the top right there. So we're gonna do that. All right. So now, as you can tell, we have our battery power hookup, but we don't have a battery. So now, as you can tell, with our connectors here that we have, you're gonna have this power port. Now we don't have a plug in there unless you bought the Taxi Garage battery. Now, instead of spending the overpriced amount for Taxi Garage, you can buy this connector right here. It is an ELFCULB XT60 to Anderson adapter, 12AWG. Now this plugs directly into that. So we're gonna do that now. So now we're gonna take this, and this is just gonna go just like this, red to red, black to black, and these 2 are just gonna pop right in just like that, and now you're done with that part. Now we have our XT60. Now if you did not buy the battery from Taxi Garage, then you will need to watch this part. If you did, then you should already be done. Now you have this. Now, if you look in the bio, you'll see this is a 30 amp fuse. Now, this is what protects all your stuff, so you will be wanting to buy this. Now, all these little parts do get expensive, but it's worth it because if you don't want to blow your stuff up, you're going to want it. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take these two connectors and plug them right on in, just like that. Easy and simple. Now, this already had a 30 amp fuse in it. Now we're going to go to the battery part. Now, if you'll see here, I have the Amazon bought 48 volt 20 amp hour battery that we're going to be putting in this crazy cart. Now this is double the size of the taxi garage for half the price. Double the size for almost half the price. Isn't that crazy? Now, this is also a way I'm showing you guys how to avoid the warranty thing that taxi garage does with their motors. You can bypass it. You can. So we're going to be using this battery, getting double the power for half the price, so you don't have to break your pockets. Now, as we're at this part, to hook up the power switch, you want the red in the middle and the blue on the bottom. The top one doesn't need to have anything on there for this thing to run. But the switch will not light up. So that's just not going to happen. So you're just going to have to deal with the switch not lighting up. But the switch will still be functional. Doesn't mean it won't work. It's just not going to light up. So now, take your 48 volt, 20 amp hour battery. And of course, remember to charge it a little bit first before testing. And with the one I took, you're going to put your XT60 connector into there. And then we are going to take this connector and plug in exactly where our fuse is. Now, you're going to go over here and you're going to make sure that power button is up for on. And you're going to give her a whirl.